Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 194 of the Basecast. I am back. Gary is back as well. We are back from New York, literally from the freezing cold, and it feels like summer in the UK, even though it's like 8 degrees or 9 degrees. We are back. Your usual team is back, apart from Aaron, but you'll see somewhere a picture of Aaron. So we have him in spirit in the podcast if you're watching on YouTube. Gary, how you doing, mate?
I'm all good, mate. All good. All good to be back. Back in the hot seat, as they say.
Yes.
So yeah, all good.
Good stuff. And we've got Mr. Di Maria with us this week. He returns. How you doing, Nico?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. I can't remember the last time I did 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the seat was like a hot seat, like Gary said. But you have taken the hot seat. You have taken it. You have taken it.
I'm doing well.
Good.
Yeah, all good. All good over here.
Good. And like we said,
Nice.
Aaron is not here because he just couldn't be here. But like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see a lovely photo of Aaron. A younger Aaron, shall we say, back in the day. But anyway, let's get stuck into the podcast. What we have been playing. We'll start with you, Nico. What have you been playing, sir? Well, I've got a feeling we probably know what you've been playing.
Yeah, so obviously I was on last week, so anyone who watched will know that I was playing a lot of Pokemon Legends Arceus. And that kind of carried on over this week because I was desperate to finish it. And by finish, I don't just mean finish the story. I mean, like, get everything in the game done. So I pretty much have done that now. So as of like 2 days ago, I've stopped playing games for a couple of days to try and get this review finished. But yeah, it's been pretty much all Pokemon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And we've got a bit of Pokemon news later as well in kind of the roundup section. So I'm sure we'll touch on your glowing thoughts of Pokemon, although the review is coming soon, as you did mention.
Yes.
Gary, what have you been playing since you've been back? Have you managed to jump on anything? Or is like that a hint in the background of what you've been playing?
A little bit of NBA tonight.
Okay.
But before we went to New York, I've been playing Uncharted: The Legacy of Thieves collection.
Nice.
I started The Lost Legacy. I haven't tried Uncharted 4 yet. I probably put like a couple of hours into it. I just wanted to see what it was like. I got it before we went.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoying it. It's, as I expected, it's just a shinier version of the PS4 version.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously we've just come back, so I haven't really had much time to game, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of Uncharted and a little bit of NBA essentially. So
Nice. Yeah, I played a bit of Uncharted, the Legacy of Thieves collection before I left as well. I started with Uncharted 4 just to see the upgrades, and yeah, no, Ben's done an amazing review which is on the site, and you can check out on our YouTube channel as well for video analysis as well. But it is as you said, a shinier version, but they've done a good job. I mean, the different modes you have. I mean, there's even a 120 FPS mode as well. I mean, it's at 1080p, but that's like buttery smooth. I tried that as well. But yeah, I'm kind of played at the performance mode, which is like 1440p, I think.
same.
And 60 FPS, and then that there's 4K 30 as well. But they've done a good job. They've done a really good job of them. And when I get time, I will go back into it again. But I've also been playing Sifu as well, which I want to get a review up at some point.
Yeah.
It's it's brutally hard.
I have heard that.
Brutally hard, but you know what?
Same.
There's something really addictive about it. So apparently, it's not the longest game. It depends on your skill level. So I guess this is the bearing on my skill level. Like there's 5 stages and there's 5 bosses you kind of have to get through. And I've struggled through the 3rd one now, basically. And I mean, people have probably read thoughts about like Sifu from elsewhere, but essentially, it's from what you saw in the trailers that really comes across. Like the combat is essentially what you'd imagine like a Souls or like a From Software game would be, but in a martial arts point of view. It's the closest thing I can compare it to from a From Software game is Sekiro, where you've got like each enemy has like they call it a structure. It's basically like a bar you have to kind of break down until you can like properly attack them. You can pick up like weapons and stuff as well, but it's mainly the combat is all around parrying, dodging, especially the bosses. Like the enemies early on are like you can kind of bash your way through, but it's also you can't. You have to be quite wary about introducing the parries and like getting the correct combos in. And then the aging mechanic is probably the best, the most unique part of it, should I say? Like if you die. Like you start at age 20, so if you die once, you have this I guess token from your father that if you die, you just kind of respawn. You come back, but you come back. Say if you die once, you come back as 21. Then if your counter is then if you die again, that's obviously you've died twice. You come back as 23. So if you accumulate deaths, you get older and older and older and older. And as you get older, your effectiveness in combat increases, but your health is really low. So you're essentially like a glass cannon, essentially, and you can go up to like 70 years old, which I have got to. And it's just ridiculous. But it's not as
you can de-age, right, as well.
I haven't got to that part yet. I think so. What happens is like each stage is kind of a checkpoint. So each new stage is a checkpoint. So for example, I finished the first stage at like age 34, and then on stage 2, obviously I started 34, but then I leveled up. I died a lot and got to like age 70. So you can then restart the level, this stage 2 from age 34, or you can go back to the stage 1 and go through it again from age 20. And try to finish it at a lower age, so you can. Yeah. So I went back and did stage 1 again and finished it, and I was like 24. So then you start stage 2 every time from like age 24. So it's almost like a checkpoint at each stage.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting mechanic, and it makes you, it makes you think about your combos and like the way your combat moves go ahead. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to finish it off. It's brutal, but like I said, it's addictive. Like there's almost like a one more try type thing. See if I can make it through at a lower age. And you get upgrades and stuff that stay with you to a certain point as well. So yeah, it's a mix of like the Souls game, like some mechanics from there, but some unique aspects in like the aging part of it as well. So yeah, so you like dying is a part of the game, but you don't want to die a lot. Basically, is the whole point. So I'm looking forward to playing it more, and hopefully getting a review up at some point once I finish it, or get close to finishing it. But I can see why PlayStation were keen to show this off in like their state of plays and like showcases. It's a unique title and something unique to their platform. Like it's on PC as well, obviously, but it's not on any of the console systems. So yeah, looking forward to continue that. Are any of you going to give it a try, or is it like nah?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One question then. So, the older you get, obviously, the shorter your health bar goes.
Yep.
But did I hear right that you mentioned that you essentially get stronger by getting older?
You get stronger. You get stronger. So that's like the risk reward thing, I guess. Like you get stronger.
It's like a balancing act, right?
Yeah. You get stronger because you're a kung fu master as you get older, I guess. But your health, like you can only take a few hits. So it benefits you to go through stages at a younger age because you will get punished. Like even the normal enemies through a stage are quite tricky sometimes, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting mechanic, that, right? It's not sort of really something you see all the time. So yeah. No, how much is it? Is it like 30 pounds?
Yeah, 30 odd pounds. Yeah, they had issues on launch with like the deluxe version that it was supposed to unlock 40 hours early. There was some issue, I think, on PlayStation side, I think, as far as I'm aware, but that got resolved pretty quickly. And for anyone that did have issues there, I think they're promising some sort of like gift or something like that to make up for it, which is fair play. Fair play to them.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, look forward to talking about that more and hopefully have a review up on that fairly soon. But let's get into the news. There has been some big news, and we saw this while we were swanning around in New York, going on Twitter. It broke the record of like I think likes for a tweet, as far as I'm aware as well, or got close to it. So the main news is Rockstar have announced a new entry in the GTA series is coming, and development is well underway. I mean that could mean anything, obviously, but the fact that they've confirmed that the next GTA, we presume it will be GTA 6 is coming. Is a big thing for a lot of people. I'm just going to put it out there straight up a question. When do we think it's coming? Nico, I'm going to start with you.
I don't think anytime soon. So I think either like late 2023 or early 2024. I think because they're not telling us anything about it. They're just saying it's underway. And we know how long these cycles can take, especially with Rockstar. They've been surviving off, not surviving, but you know what I mean. They've been,
They're doing pretty well.
they're doing pretty well, but just off GTA 5.
Yeah.
Like, that GTA 5 Online is going to be across what three consoles soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. So they don't need to rush anything, and I don't think they will. You know, I think it's going to be like I say, late 2023, early 2024.
Interesting.
But we all knew this was coming. We knew it was coming.
Yeah. Of course.
Confirmation.
They've kind of, I won't hesitate to use the word, milked GTA 5 as much as they can now.
And
there is a version coming out which we'll talk about as well in March for the new consoles, upgrade and everything. Gary, when do you think? Like we had a similar conversation when we were talking about it in New York, but let's hear it on the podcast.
So it's a tricky one. It's obviously been in development for probably since the end of Red Dead 2. And Rockstar always take their time. They never rush. They release trailers and info when they want to, rather than when the industry says. I personally think it's going to be the earliest end of 2024. But with Rockstar, they have their last few games they've delayed a few times. So it would not surprise me if it's like spring 2025. I think anyone expecting it soon is anyone expecting it soon is going to be in for a shock. I think it's still a while off. I believe
they'd have done a title or a teaser trailer or something like that if it was anywhere close to the next couple of years.
They say it's in development for a while. Or their words,
well underway.
That could mean anything. That could just still be thinking up stories or getting like voice actors involved. And so I'd love to say 2023, but I just can't see it. It's too close. It's February of 2022 now. So I think the earliest 2024, and Rockstar are going to keep making billions off GTA 5 Online, so it's not like they need to rush it. So
no, it's true. It's an absolutely fair point. And I think, if I was to put a guess on it, I'd say I'd like to see it in 2023 personally. Obviously, you know, it's been a while since GTA, but I think 2024 probably more likely. And you know, like you said, like touched upon there, both of you, like they like to do things when they want. They don't go by industry standards. They don't link to an E3 or they don't link to Gamescom. They just break the internet when they want to, essentially. Like the first time they put out a teaser, it will break the internet completely. Everyone will be all over that. Including us obviously as well. But I imagine you'll start to see like a few, like, I wouldn't say leaks, but you'll start to see like few tidbits here and there, like of like voice actors like doing stuff for the game or etc. You'll start to see like job adverts for stuff, which people will pick apart, and we will probably on the podcast as well. So you'll see that. But 2024 more likely, I think. But even 2025 could happen. But because they're releasing GTA 5 again, as you've mentioned, on the new consoles in March. So they don't have to rush anything because they're still going to make a lot of money off that. But let's see what happens. But staying on the GTA news, I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but the GTA trilogy, the definitive edition, it had a bit of a rough launch, shall we say. But it's done, according to Take-Two and Strauss Zelnick, exceedingly well, and they're exceedingly confident about the upcoming quality of GTA games following the trilogy's issues. So, Gary, I knew you were quite vocal about the issues with the trilogy. Thoughts on that? Like, what do we think happened there? Because is it Rockstar? I mean, it wasn't Rockstar that had developed it. Was it Grove Street Games?
No. That's it. Yeah.
So, what do you think happened there? I don't know. It was a bit of a mess.
I think it was a bit of a rush job, to be honest. That's what it seemed like, because essentially it was a port of the mobile version, and it just seemed like they could just port that, touch it up a little bit, and then get away with it. But gamers are savvy to that, so
the internet would not let them do that.
It was a bit of a disaster, like the stuff with the rain where you couldn't see, and just frame rate issues. The Switch version running at like 12 frames per second, and it was just I didn't buy it for that reason, because it was just bad. I assume that it's had some big updates since.
It has
for them to sort of come out. Okay.
Yeah, it has. And there's more coming as well. They've said in the same news story. So.
Yeah, but his comments about like the quality of sort of GTA games moving forward, I don't think you can put those two together because, like you said, it's not the same development team. It's just it's like a third party studio doing it for them, not the port.
Yeah.
So I don't. That sort of comment from the CEO just doesn't really make sense to me. It's like he's sort of trying to cover it up by sort of implying that don't worry about GTA 6 because
I mean, Rockstar will.
It's a bit of an odd comment.
Yeah, Rockstar will release it when it's good and ready, I think, and I don't think people can probably worry about that too much. But I mean, I bought it on launch, and I started with Vice City, so I didn't see a lot of the issues. I think a lot of the issues were in 3, as far as I was aware, like the rain and stuff like that.
San Andreas.
I mean, did you play it, Nico? Did you have a chance to?
Yeah. So I bought it on Switch, and I did the same to you. I started with Vice City because that's my favorite.
Yeah.
And there were little issues, but nowhere near the like that were on the other two.
Yeah. It was crazy, but I mean, what they also followed up with, like, they've also said that it's done really well in terms of sales. So Nico, it sold 10 up to 10 million. So this is basically working out from done some quick maths in terms of how GTA 5 and the series is sold, and based on that, so they're figuring out like 10 million copies probably since launch. So that in itself, with the issues, 10 million copies.
I am not surprised whatsoever. Because nostalgia
name, right?
I mean, like, I breathe of nostalgia. Like, nostalgia is everything to somebody like me, and there's plenty of people out there like me, you know. And to play the games that were the big ones when I was growing up, you know, probably when I shouldn't have been playing them. They're Grand Theft
We all
games.
were. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, to have them, and to have them, for me, it was like big to have them on the Switch.
Yeah.
Because I played the mobile ones, but you know, connecting a Bluetooth controller is not always like the most convenient thing to do, and playing with the touch controls weren't great. But to have it on the Switch, on the go, full-fledged, was so appealing to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, you know, you're gonna have a lot of people in those same situations. Like, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, it will probably sell more as well. It'll probably sell more as well soon. So yeah. Go on, Gary. You were saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the sales figures, it's a bit of bad publicity is sometimes good publicity. Because I think people were thinking, why is this so bad? Let me buy it and see what it's all about.
Fair point. Yeah.
So, it's got the name Grand Theft Auto attached to it, right? So it's automatically going to sell copies, right? So, but yeah, 10 million. That's
the patches as well. You know, people may have been waiting for the patches, and then once they dropped, gone, okay, let me try it out now and see.
Yeah.
So there's lots of factors that come into it, but at the end of the day, these are some of the best Grand Theft Auto games. You know, even with the future ones, you know, it's still some of the best. You know, Vice City to this day is still my favorite Grand Theft Auto game.
Oh, incredible! Yeah,
incredible. Yeah, and as you said, there's patches out already. There'll be patches probably, like, the patches have, I think, so far fixed like the main issues of like the rain that was coming indoors, and just like in GTA 3, like all you could see at the start was like rain. Essentially, it was like, it wasn't even rain. It was like just lines, just lines. It would look super lines. Weird. Like it looked really, really weird. But yeah, I mean, they have promised more patches for that as well. So as it improves, it will only do better in terms of sales, and they'll probably do some sort of like they'll be part of like PlayStation sales or Xbox sales, etc. as well. So it's only going to do better. And like, just as the GTA series as a whole, 370 million units for the GTA series, and 160 million of that is GTA 5.
Jesus.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Now.
It's just like there's nothing comes close in like the games industry in terms of GTA 5 and the numbers it has sold. I don't think anything will.
No.
Yeah, and that will only go higher when it comes out, because I mean, let's be honest, most of us will probably pick it up on PS5. I will.
Yeah,
I know. I will.
What's insane is the fact that it is an 18, you know, for viewers, R-rated 18 game.
Yeah.
That, you know, is cut off from so many people who you would consider to be a key part of these communities, you know. But of course, that doesn't stop everyone, and you know, nor did it us. So yeah, it's
they'll keep selling, they'll keep buying. I mean, it's like last time they released figures, it was 355 for the series, so now it's 370. So ridiculous. They just keep it's always in the charts, in the UK anyway, and pretty much in Europe, and even in the US, I believe it's always in the charts. So more GTA. You know, over the next few years we will see, and we'll see when GTA 6 comes out, I'm sure we'll be talking about it on the podcast.
It'll break every record.
It will. It absolutely will. Absolutely will. But yeah, that was the big news we wanted to kick off with, just touching upon GTA. But another one, I don't know, we on the team have like mixed thoughts about this service. But the news came out just this past week is that Google is reportedly deprioritizing and rebranding Stadia. So the company is looking to repurpose the tech in other ways. That's how they've put it. And they've kind of been like shopping the technology basically to like partners like Peloton, Capcom, Bungie as well, a big part of that. And they're looking to like have a new name for it called Google Stream. I know, Nico, you were a bit of an advocate for, and probably still are an advocate for Stadia. So what are your thoughts on this and how Stadia's gone?
I think Stadia's demise, if you want to put it that way, is Google's fault.
Yep.
Because they very quickly, like this news comes out now, but very quickly they stopped prioritizing it. You know, they stopped investing in it. And the technology's there. You know, my use case for it is not probably what they envisioned. You know, I use it to jump onto Destiny from my phone to do quick little things, or when I'm not at home and I want to, you know, just do a quick mission with a friend or whatever. Like for that, I've always found it really reliable and subscribed to Pro for that reason. Even though I literally only play the one game, you know, like it's just, it's really useful for me. But they could have done so much more with it that could have tempted me to use it more. Yeah. But they just stopped. They stopped from the beginning. You know, they had their own game studios and they just stopped investing. And so it doesn't surprise me, you know, but it's such a shame because we're seeing that this technology works. You know, Xbox do it. Yeah. Nvidia do it with their GeForce Now. You know, for PC gaming, which is superb.
It's really good. Yeah.
You know, we can do remote play from our phones for PlayStation. You know, like streaming what's on the PlayStation, so we know it works. And I think it works really well. But they just gave up. Yeah. You know, and. So they're big enough that they can. And it doesn't really affect them, but it just seems like such a waste.
It's a venture that they took part in, but it doesn't seem like they had the full commitment to it. It's a shame because the tech seems like it's great. It just seems like it didn't have the backing, and I think obviously the model, like the structure of it, was a huge contention point as well. I know, Gary, when when you've talked about it, you've mentioned like stuff like that. I mean, have you tried Stadia? Like, thoughts?
No, I've not actually tried it. It's just not for me personally. But the stupid thing is, it's a great service, but sort of like Nico alluded to, the marketing strategy was just dreadful. It's typical Google. Google makes some great stuff, but then they just seem to drop like what they're doing with it. They sort of think, well, that's all, we've done what we can. And they was even like Stadia was even included in like Chromecast, and it just disappeared off of that, their own service. It's just a shit show from start to finish, really. So I think what they're doing is probably the right thing to do with the service, because obviously Stadia as a product isn't really doing much. So I think licensing it out to like probably like as well as tech companies, TV sort of manufacturers, maybe
Peloton.
putting it inside TVs and stuff like that. So I think that's the Peloton. That's the like the exercise stuff, right? Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think they just went down the wrong route with it, and like they opened studios, and then within a month they were closed, and people left. Jade Raymond left, and it's but people still seem to love the service. Which is
the actual tech is good. It seems like the tech is good. It's just that the support, and I guess, as I mentioned, the commitment to it, and as Nico mentioned as well, it has been sketchy at best, and it leaves us in this situation where they're trying to some reports that they're trying to salvage basically what's left of it and trying to like basically shop it out to people, and like Destiny was a big part of it for them, and you know they were looking to partner. They were looking to partner with them with Bungie on that, but now obviously the Sony deal kind of puts that to bed a bit. Really, I don't know how that goes, but yeah.
Well, Bungie were talking about how they were excited with this PlayStation acquisition. They were talking about how they were excited to launch on new platforms.
Yeah.
What that means, I don't know. I don't think it. I think the connection with Stadia is dead because Stadia is dying.
Yeah.
I think that's from that. But yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of finish like the reports finish up with saying like they're also worried about like the consolidations that are happening, all the acquisition and stuff, and it's scaring Google executives, and they've kind of gone down this route where it's not a priority for them anymore, and they're kind of just essentially shopping out the technology. I'm sure we'll hear a bit more about Stadia in soon and see where it's going, but it seems like it's on a path to being a no longer Stadia. It's now Google Stream, and we'll see what happens, I guess. Next bit of news is all around Xbox. There's a bunch of news about Xbox. I mean, they can't stay out of the news, really. I mean, the big one today kind of came out, and I don't know if it was a reaction to PlayStation acquiring Bungie and kind of it's being a bit of chess being played from both sides there. But Microsoft released a blog today, and in the blog they're saying that Call of Duty and other Activision Blizzard games beyond existing agreements they have a desire essentially to bring them to all platforms. And I know we've discussed this on the podcast. There's some few bets going around here or there as well between people, but it seems like there's kind of a status quo almost between, because obviously the PlayStation thing makes it interesting. It's like, okay, if Xbox make the move of making something exclusive, then they'll be like, okay, wait, whatever Bungie's doing, we'll make that exclusive just to like counter it. What are your thoughts, Gary, on this?
Well, first off, it looks like an hour and £50.
He just said buy him. He just said you guys can buy him a drink, basically. So I think you can get off £50. There you go.
I'll give him £50. It was a gentleman's agreement. I think what you said was true. I think PlayStation owning Destiny, I think Xbox probably looked at that and went, "Oh shit, we get a lot of players through Destiny. It's a bit of like you give us that, and we'll give you this."
Yeah.
I think it's good regardless. I think exclusives is starting to become a bit more sort of niche. It seems to be, the industry seems to be going away from that a bit. Obviously, you're still going to get the likes of Halo, Forza, and then you're going to get Uncharted, Last of Us, that sort of stuff being exclusive. But I think for the most part, I think the third party stuff seems to be going away from that, which is only a good thing for gamers because not everyone, we're quite privileged. We get to essentially have both consoles. So I think for players that only choose one Xbox or choose PlayStation, I think it's only a good thing.
No. I mean, in the blog, I can't remember the person's name. Brad Smith, who's a president at Microsoft. He said, like, first, some commenters have asked whether we will continue to make popular content like Activision's Call of Duty available on competing platforms like Sony's PlayStation. The obvious concern is that Microsoft could make this title available exclusively on the Xbox console, undermining opportunities for Sony PlayStation users. To be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision. But then he goes on to say, as I mentioned, and we have committed to Sony that we will make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future, so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love. And he added to that, Nico, also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. What do you think about that?
Very, very interesting. I think it would be what's the phrase? Cutting your nose to spite your face if they were to take them off. Yeah. Because these games rely on player bases.
Yeah.
And, they were all bringing in cross-play, so the ability, Destiny did it recently. I know Call of Duty, I think, has it as well. That no matter what platform you're on, you can play with your friends. And to throw that away is foolish. But also, you make your player base dwindle. And that's not good for the game. So you need higher player bases.
Yeah.
So there's that. The Nintendo part is very intriguing.
Yeah.
I think that's. I've seen on the Switch store there are like stream titles.
Yeah.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Cloud version.
Not good.
Well, maybe Nintendo can work with Google and use Google Stream.
Maybe.
No, I mean, personally, I'd love Destiny to be in a situation where I could play that on my Switch.
Yeah.
That's a dream for me. That I can play it absolutely anywhere. I'm getting a Steam Deck for that. But I think it's really intriguing. They must have an idea of what they want to do.
Yeah.
If they're saying this publicly, I don't think you will ever hear anyone from these companies say anything publicly unless they have something solid that they're working towards. So it's really, really intriguing. Whether that means there is a more powerful Nintendo consoles coming to somewhere down the line that is what it's for.
I bloody hope so.
Or the same. Or if it's more of a streaming thing.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, really, really interesting.
Yeah. And there's a bit at the end here in the VGC news article that said it's worth noting that Microsoft's statement stops short of committing to releasing all Activision Blizzard titles for PlayStation, so it could still keep some exclusives to Xbox. I think to me what that means is the big titles like the Call of Duties, and like World of Warcraft potentially at some point, or whatever, or the Crash Bandicoots, whatever they Overwatch. Might Overwatch, all the titles with big player bases, they will probably be across everything. But some of the more, I guess, niche titles, some of the more not the bigger player bases or big sellers will probably stay exclusive, so they can grow the audience for them on Game Pass, etc., or something like that. But yeah, we used to live in a world where it was all about exclusives, and now it seems like, as Gary mentioned, we're kind of moving away from that. Obviously, the first party studios, as you mentioned, will still do their stuff, but now it seems like exclusives are less than the thing, and the industry's embracing. There was a great quote from the president of Microsoft right at the end of the blog. He says, "We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business." And I think the last part, obviously it is right for the industry and for gamers as well, but the business part is key to that. Because if it didn't make business sense, they wouldn't be doing it. Let's not be, kind of beat around the bush. They will make money from these titles going on PlayStation, or if they come to Nintendo, whatever form it is. So at the end of the day, they want that money. And I think Aaron touched about that on like previous podcasts when we were having the discussion about exclusive, etc. But yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more about we'll continue to hear more about this topic in the future as well. But just to touch on some more Microsoft stuff that came out over the last day or so. Phil Spencer wants to make Starfield the most played Bethesda game ever. So he's come out and said that, and I guess, I don't know, for me, maybe this might allude to, because obviously it's coming to Game Pass, it'll be on Series X and S and PC as well. To make it the most played Bethesda game ever, you'd surely have to maybe have it on PS5 as well, PlayStation console as well. Maybe that's something that might be coming later on. But a lot of people are looking forward to Starfield. I know they are. It's coming out later in the year. Thoughts on this, Gary? What do you think?
I don't really understand the comment because, like you sort of alluded to, surely the most played Bethesda game at this point has got to be Skyrim, right?
Most probably. It's released on my fridge as well. Yeah, it's released for fridges as well. So
it's on about 130 devices at this point. So if Starfield is exclusive to Xbox and Xbox only, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it's a strange one. And the article I'm reading on VGC mentions however, unlike previous Bethesda hits like Elder Scrolls, as you mentioned, Skyrim, Fallout series as well, they have said it won't be released on PlayStation consoles. So that means it will have to be big numbers on Game Pass, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's what they're going for, probably. Nico, I'm just throwing that out
Game
there.
Pass feels like the strategy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can put it into the hands of every single subscriber.
25 million subscribers at this point.
No extra cost.
Yeah.
So to speak, just the cost of the subscription. So, I think I had this discussion with someone recently where they didn't really see the value in Game Pass. I'm like, how could you not see the value in Game Pass? Yeah, they basically said, oh, it's a bunch of mediocre games. And I'm like, well,
oof.
That's an argument you can have, I suppose. Yeah. But I think realistically, the value's insane. And
yeah, I think so.
25 million subscribers, and every single one of them can play Starfield day one. Yeah. So they're banking on that 100%, and I think that's the beautiful thing. It's why I'm not mad about these acquisitions because I know it's going to trickle down into Game Pass.
Yeah.
And there are going to be some incredible games that, either I want to play again or ones that I may not have touched before that are going to pop into Game Pass, and I'm not going to have to pay anything extra to play any of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely the way they're moving forward with this.
For sure. And like one other thing, like again, came out recently. Like Platinum Games have started talking about Scalebound again, which is, if you remember, was cancelled back in 20. Well, it was planned in 2017, but yeah, eventually it was cancelled. An interview with IGN Japan, Platinum's president mentioned essentially that the vice president Camille always wanted to do Scalebound. So we'd like to have a proper discussion with Microsoft because Microsoft are the ones that cancelled it. He said they did a lot of work on it, and it's and essentially, but he called out Phil Spencer saying, "Phil, let's do it together." I mean, for me, this would be a bit of a win for Microsoft, an easy win if they would just go Scalebound is back. I mean, that would, I wouldn't say it would break the internet, but it would gain a lot of positive traction. Because when it was cancelled, everyone was, like, Platinum Games are known for quality games at the end of the day. So when it was cancelled, people were a bit disappointed. It looked good from what we saw in the early trailers. Gary, would you like to have Scalebound back?
I thought it looked interesting.
Yeah.
I believe we was at one of the E3s when it got announced.
We were, yeah.
And it looked, it's typical, like Platinum, they always do batshit crazy stuff, right?
Pretty much.
They very rarely do a bad game.
Yeah.
And I think with the backing of Microsoft behind it, it would be great. I still want to know why it got cancelled. There's obviously something wasn't going right behind the scenes with the development because it just seemed to sort of trickle out in the end. But yeah, like any new IP, I would be well up for seeing. So yeah, come on, Microsoft, Platinum, get together, have a coffee, and
have a coffee, sort it out.
Done.
Any thoughts, Nico, on Scalebound? I'm not sure if it's your type of game or Platinum Games are your bag.
Yeah, so it's not one I know much about, but I think any game that made it as far as it did in development,
it was very long in development. Yeah,
there's something there, and it's never going to be a bad thing to have, like Gary said, new IP, new ideas. If they say let's do it, there's obviously going to be some very happy people at Platinum Games, and I'm sure there are going to be many happy fans. So I'm always an advocate for new games, and 100%. The more the rather better.
Yep, absolutely, and it could come to Game Pass as well if they manage to sort something out. So that's another to the person that you were having a conversation with that said no value. There's there's more Game Pass games.
Yeah,
awesome. So that was a whole bunch of Xbox news. We kind of summed it up into one, but we'll hit on some quick news stories, a quick news roundup. There's a few here. One that I know Gary will be interested in, and actually caught my interest as well. Days Gone director Jeff Ross, in an interview with Sacred Symbols video show, said that he had plans or kind of wanted to work on an Uncharted game focused on Victor Sullivan, a young Victor Sullivan, kind of around like the age 25 in the 1970s, and the kind of plan was for him to be like kind of a Sean Connery style kind of gentleman, and like kind of doing his hustling, and kind of before obviously he met Drake, etc. I mean, we were talking just before the podcast, Gary. I'd love to play this sort of game. What do you think?
This sounds so cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just, the fact that it didn't happen, like, really annoys me, because, like, the mainline series of Uncharted is incredible, but The Lost Legacy is also incredible, which is like a spin-off of the series. So having these little sort of side stories about different characters would be amazing. Sully is like one of the sort of staples of the series anyway.
Yeah.
And just seeing how he sort of progresses into where he did with like Nate and all that.
Yeah. It just sounds like the way he described it, like he wanted to do it. It just describes awesome. It's like, I want to play this game. I want to play this game.
Yeah,
Nico,
it sounds like a sort of sounds like a sort of James Bond style sort of story would be
a bit suave, a bit cheeky. Yeah, Nico's in as well. Nico's in.
I would be in. because I'm definitely a fan of the Uncharted games, not as much as I think it's the two of you, but I've played most of them, and I've really enjoyed them. And Sully's always been a character that stood out.
Yeah,
and there's it's all about like world building. You're fleshing out everything around these main characters, and it's a little bit of the Marvel syndrome, right? Prequels and sequels and all this kind of thing, and you just create a universe that is really you can really invest in. And so pushing on and doing this game around Sally would be so cool for so many people. Especially with this Uncharted movie coming out as well.
Exactly that. There's like I would really, and I think Jeff Ross, he was the director on Days Gone. They've kind of like seems like PlayStation have done a bit dirty as well. Like they kind of not said a sequel. And I think he had like in the same article he had ideas around like a Resistance game as well. And they've got history with the Uncharted series because like Jeff Ross I think worked on the Golden Abyss title on the Vita as well, which is a good spin-off as well. Yeah, it seems like Jeff Ross isn't too happy about how things went down with Days Gone and like no sequel, so he's just coming out with like, all the ideas he had, all the plans that he had for like Sony IPs, and this one in particular. Would love to see it. I don't know if someone at Sony or PlayStation is like sees his interview, do this game. You'll do well. You'll do really well. I think all three of us and
Definitely.
I think Uncharted fans in general would like to see this. But that was an interesting bit of story.
Yeah.
And moving on to the next one, just quickly touch upon this because I think you guys mentioned it last time in the podcast.
Very briefly, yeah.
Yeah, very briefly. Is Rocksteady's Suicide Squad has reportedly been delayed till 2023. So there's been no official confirmation just yet, but I think Bloomberg were the ones that kind of came out with this, and they're usually pretty good at kind of reporting these stories before any official announcement. So, and it hasn't like, I think a Warner Brothers executive was talking about on Twitter as well, like games coming in 2022, and Suicide Squad wasn't mentioned. So he mentioned Hogwarts Legacy. He mentioned Gotham Knights.
It's on track, yeah.
Yeah, no mention for Suicide Squad, which kind of ties into this. What do you think, Nico? 2023. Like we've seen a bit of gameplay. It looked like it was heading towards 2022, but 2023 now, I guess.
As I said last week, if this is what they need to get the game right, do it. I think everyone is sick of games coming out half-baked. Cyberpunk being the prime example. This is the big one, so to speak, since the Arkham games.
Yep.
And they have a lot to live up to from those games, and they need to get it right.
Yeah.
So just take all the time you need. If it's 2023,
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
We want to play good games, not half-baked ones that we have to wait for updates.
Absolutely. And the trailers, like the trailers and stuff they've released so far, the last one especially, looked really good, really good. Yeah. But I think an interesting point I was kind of thinking in my head was like, they've got Gotham Knights coming out this year. They probably don't want to cannibalize like the sales or like the interest. True. So 2023 actually makes sense. Like give Suicide Squad its own moment. The movie's already out. There might be some like there's another the Peacemaker series is out right now. So I mean he's not in the game as far as I know, but still linked to the Suicide Squad. So giving it its own time, Gary, in 2023 probably makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Like Nico sort of said, like they need to. Well, they don't need to make sure it's perfect at launch, but it would be better if it is closer to being perfect than the issues we've seen with other games like the last couple of years. And I think, your main point about it coming out at the same time as the other Arkham game. I think having two is a bit of a bad strategy. I think separating them a little bit is a good thing because it's similar to like Xbox with the Forza series. Obviously, before it was one year, Motorsport 1 year, Horizon, and now they've realised, this is getting a bit much. Let's separate them out a bit. I think sometimes it does the brand good. Yeah. So I think, 2023. I think there's a lot of great games coming out in 2022 anyway. So I think having that pushed back is, it's not a bad thing at all in my eyes. Obviously, I want to play it, but I can wait. I can wait.
Of course, and we'll be co-opening that, right? We'll be co-opening it. Come on,
Yeah,
Bagsy Harley Quinn, by the way, just saying that now. It's on the podcast now.
Damn it.
But moving on to the next story, one that we'll quickly touch upon, and I think Nico will be happy about this. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Is it Arceus or is it Arceus? It's Arceus, right?
Arceus. Yeah.
Arceus. Yeah. Arceus. Okay.
I was watching a Pokemon film, and that's how they pronounced it.
Arceus. So. Okay. Yeah, I've seen some people pronounce it as Arceus. I was like, that sounds like RC, and I was like, they're probably not doing that. But yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus has sold 6.5 million copies in its first week. This is from a official Nintendo tweet thanking the players. And it's the biggest selling Pokemon series on the Switch. Fastest selling, Pokemon series on the Switch. No surprise, really. I think a lot of people were looking forward to this. Nico, you are a resident Pokemon expert. I mean, it's probably going to sell double that by the end of the year, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously had a huge section of people who pre-ordered and had it for launch.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have the wave of people who then see the reviews and hear about it, and actually learn that it's a damn fine game.
Yeah.
I can probably talk about it now because hopefully by the time this is out, my review is out.
Yeah.
It's in my top 3 Pokemon games ever, and there are a lot of Pokemon games.
Nice.
It's just, I think the combination of the fact that it's a really good game, and then the fact that it's so different from the other, because this is supposed to be a mainline Pokemon game. It's not like a spin-off. This is the direction that they're taking, and I think the combination of those two things have really got the hype around it. And it's paid off, massively. Game Freak took some big risks, and I was unsure about it at first, but it's really paid off, and I think it deserves to have sold the amount it's sold plus more. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a big Pokemon fan or anything like that, but even I can kind of appreciate what they've done with this series. I've had a passing, obviously being involved in the gaming as we are, but you have a passing interest in the previous Pokemon games, and they've kind of been the similar style. So to break away is a risk. It's a big risk, of course it is. Yeah, and seems like they've technical issues aside on the console it's on. The game itself is very enjoyable, and we were in New York and we went to Nintendo store. It was Pokemon everywhere. Arceus was everywhere. Gary, I know you were interested in buying it while we were there in the shop.
Yeah, I was really tempted because I've never been a Pokemon fan like Nico is, right? But I've always had that sort of interest, and now when my nephews are who are obsessed with it, they're sort of starting to get me into it. And this direction, just it's a bold move from them to Game Freak to do this, and they've pretty much nailed it. The vision they've gone for. And those sales figures are very impressive. Can you imagine if this come out before Christmas as well?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Those sales figures would have been probably double that.
A week and a half?
Week and a bit, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
6.5 million in its first week, yeah.
Obviously, Pokemon games sell very well anyway, but the fact that they've sort of completely changed up the formula with this one, gone a completely different route. It's a big risk, and they've still absolutely. There's a massive buzz around this game. When we was in the Nintendo store, there was people taking photos with the display they had. There was people buying the game. It's huge at the moment.
There was literally. I remember we were downstairs, and I don't know if there was a person selling Pokemon with a Switch to this woman who was buying it for a kid essentially. So the hype is real. The hype is real. And just comparing it to previous Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, it's not too far off. So 6 million units in the first week. But the most impressive thing that I found from this was it sold more than such titles as Mario Party Superstars, Skyward Sword HD, new Pokemon Snap, and even Metroid Dread. So it's absolutely smashed it out the park in terms of sales. And I can imagine, as you said, if it came out during Christmas, and it will probably sell more during Christmas as well, Christmas period coming up, it will probably still be selling. It will probably be in the charts for a while. So, I mean, kudos to them. Absolute kudos to them. But look out for Nico's review. We'll be sure to share that on all our channels, etc. as well. But congrats to Game Freak on that 6.5 million. Second to last story, a quick one I want to touch upon, because I found this story interesting just because we've seen a lot of PSVR 2 stories recently, but now an eye tracking firm, I forgot what they were called here, Tobii AB, calling themselves the global leader in eye tracking and pioneer of attention computing. They've announced that they're in negotiations with Sony Interactive regarding the new headset, which obviously is the VR2. So I mean, I wanted to touch on this really because, like, does that mean that it's not as further along as we think it is, Gary? Do you think?
I was just about to say
yeah,
that, yeah.
like, what do you think, dude? Like, everything I've seen so far, because they put up a pre-order page as well recently, or like a product page recently for it as well, which caused a lot of buzz. What do you think, like, Gary? Is this out this year, or is it not out this year now? Going by this,
Yeah. Originally, I thought it would be like sort of holiday 2022, but now this story's come out. It's making me think, like, why are they still negotiating parts? Like, is it? I thought this would have been done like months ago, but I don't know. Is it that the software's done and they're just finalizing like certain areas of it, or is it the fact that it's the global pandemic issue with chipsets and that sort of stuff? I don't know. It's This shocked me a bit, this story, to be honest. I just did not expect them to be coming out and saying, "Oh, so we're doing a PSVR 2, but we haven't made anything yet."
Yeah, because they haven't shown the actual headset yet, have they? So that makes me. That combined with this story now, where they're saying, I mean, the negotiation could be contractual stuff, but then when they mention components, that actually talks about stuff going in the actual headset. So, I mean. I would have thought like Christmas time would have been a good, like just before Christmas time would have been a good time to have this out, given all the stuff they're kind of releasing. But Nico, what do you reckon? Like, are we going to see VR2 this year?
Yeah, so I've just pulled up the PSVR2 product page that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And they do talk about eye tracking on there publicly.
Yeah, they do.
So my thought is that they will have it. It's just about who's providing it.
Yeah.
And so that's probably where it is. But
fair point.
I think probably it may not hold them up too far. You know, like it shouldn't hold them up too much.
I hope not.
I think that they are getting to the point where not E3 because they're never really at E3 anymore. But June, July, they'll make an announcement about when it's coming out.
Yeah, showcase probably, and
actually showcase the headset itself, because they've done a fair amount of talking about it, considering. Yeah. And they showed off the controllers.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to hold it up too much. I think it is probably more, like you say, just like general stuff.
Yeah. Who's doing that part, essentially?
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Pitch me your ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the best deal. Yeah.
I think if they would have come out and said, "Oh, so this is coming, but we haven't sorted out the chips yet," then we'd have been a bit like, that's a bit worrying. So, yeah, it's still like a weird story.
It took me aback a little. Sure. It took me aback a little, but hopefully. Yeah, hopefully it's just like negotiating like who's actually providing, because they have released specs for it, and obviously eye tracking is part of it. But maybe it's just like they're picking between who's providing it, and these guys have just come out just to get some publicity, perhaps, and to make Sony sign the contract or whatever needs to be done. But I'm sure we'll find out. But I mean, because I'm looking forward to seeing what VR2 has to offer. And the experiences it can offer as well. But I'm sure we'll hear more about that as well. But obviously, we're going to talk about NFTs. We're always talking about NFTs. It's everyone's favorite topic. But this is a good story, and I wanted to finish on this because Indie Game Store, and I haven't really heard of them before, but I did check them out when I was looking at the story. Itch.io has released a fiery statement calling NFTs a scam, and I'm going to read this out like in kind of full in a Twitter thread. Gary's clapping. They started with saying NFTs are a scam. If you think they are legitimately useful for anything other than the exploitation of creators, financial scams, and the destruction of the planet, then we ask that you please reevaluate your life choices. Also, fuck any company that says they support creators and also endorses NFTs in any way. They only care about their own profit and the opportunity for wealth above anyone else. Especially given the now easily available discourse concerning the problems of NFTs. How can you be so dense? I mean,
love that.
They summed it up perfectly. I mean, I don't really have anything more to add to that. I've had my rant on a previous podcast about it. A logical rant, I thought. But yeah, I mean, NFTs aren't going away, Nico, but it seems like more and more people, and you talked about it on the last podcast with Ben and Andy as well, like how Team 17 did like a U-turn on it as well, and I think we'll probably see this happen a lot more U-turns. yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you agree with this? Because like, if you say yes, I mean, then we all love you. If you say no, then like we're gonna boot your podcast right now.
Obviously, I agree.
Okay, good.
I think but what I do think is that I think it's it is a brave move to come out and be that, like, honest about it, because from an organization, point of view, because there will be people who may use their store who are pro NFT. I could say, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to use you guys anymore. So I do think, from a business point of view, it's a brave stance to take. It is a logical stance because NFTs literally bring zero value to anything. I've yet to hear of one legitimate reason why they're beneficial. I just can't get my head around it.
Yeah.
So I haven't been full agreement with the statement. I think it's a bold.
It is very bold
move to make.
The words they use were very evocative, shall we say? Let's use that word. Gary, I know your stance on NFTs is pretty much the same as all of us.
Oh, mate. I love this statement because it's so honest. It's how you should talk about NFTs. A lot of companies sort of weave around like the actual, like the honesty part of it. And this company, to be fair, they're an indie company and they've actually got a lot more to lose than say a big publisher from this because they're trying to build their sort of company up. So honestly, that statement was incredible. It was just so honest, and that's what people want. Like,
I mean, on the flip side, maybe they'll get support from certain people as well, and certain companies.
It's a bit similar to the what was I talking about earlier, where the GTA bad publicity is sometimes good publicity. So,
absolutely.
But like I wish more companies would come out and say the same. But you're never going to get the likes of Ubisoft and people like that come out and go, "Oh, so actually, we don't like these."
Ubisoft
because they're all dipping their toe in there, seeing what the reaction is, and then backtracking when inevitably.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but good, fair play to them for being so honest and transparent, and I love that.
Yeah, and I think one thing you guys mentioned last week, I just want to touch upon that before we finish up, is like Team 17 obviously announced their NFT and they got a lot of hate on social media. Their social media person or people got a lot of hate. I just want to say, like, it's not those people that should be getting the hate. And I feel sorry for those people. And like, if they got any hate, it's just internet people. But I'm very happy that they did the U-turn. The higher ups saw the criticism, and I'm pretty sure the social media teams or the community teams had some doing in that, like reporting back sentiment, whatever it was that helped turn that. Because Team 17 they're a good studio. They're a good studio. Like they make some well-known games. Like Overcooked, I think they published or developed and stuff like that. Love games. So like to have something like this ruin their reputation is a shame. And there's good people working there as well. So I'm happy they had the U-turn, and I'm happy the people there don't have to get any more flack as well.
I'd like to think.
So go on.
I'd like to think that. I'm just gonna go. I'd like to think that there's companies that basically are going, NFTs, like they don't really understand too much about it, but they're seeing everyone else jumping on it, and so they're thinking, we need to get involved. And that it's coming from a place of ignorance, which I'm not excusing, but I'm hoping it's coming from a place of ignorance as opposed to a place of, we don't really care what it does to the environment and what impact it has. We're just gonna do it anyway. So. And that's why they're doing the U-turns, because they see the reaction, they learn more. I'd like to think it's that coming from an optimistic point of view, but
go on, Gary. Have your final thoughts.
I was just going to say, so Team 17, they wormed their way out of it.
Hey. Okay.
It was worth the wait.
Yeah, it was worth the wait, to be honest. Well done. Well done on that.
I'm so sorry.
No, I love that. I love those. But anyway, we'll finish on that lovely pun, shall we say? But that is all the news for this week. Like we kind of mentioned, we do have a lot of content coming in the next few weeks. Nico has his Pokemon review. Andy's working on a few reviews as well on his side and his retro stuff. I'm sure Gary will help. Like, I am probably jumping on a few things. Sifu, as I mentioned. I probably have a couple of other things that are going to come in the pipeline as well. You can probably base that on what's coming out soon. I'm sure Gary will help me out with some video stuff on that as well. So we will all be very busy over the next few weeks, and lots of content coming. And obviously the podcast will return next week as well. Hopefully Aaron is back next week and we can replace that lovely photo with actual Aaron Sullivan,
a real Aaron,
real Aaron Sullivan, and we can have his spicy takes that can turn into social clips because I love them. But thank you, Nico, for jumping on. We very much appreciate it. We very much appreciate that. Gary, pleasure to have you on again, and always welcome back to the podcast.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we will be back.
Thank you, sir.
We will be back next week with the Basecast for episode 195. But this is done with episode 194. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay gaming. Bye, everyone.
Bye.